Several weeks ago, I made a decision. I said, to hell with what the YouTube algorithm wants me to do to be relevant and to promote my channel to others. And I went back to something that I've been feeling I wanted to do for a long time, but I didn't fully dare to do it because it's not how the algorithms want me to be. And also it's scary on the other hand, but that's not the main reason. And so I started 3-4 videos ago, I started just talking about what's really relevant for me at the moment, what I'm thinking about, what I'm contemplating, what I'm going through. 3 videos ago, I talked about how my current identity, I realized, was composed of how I think others see me, which was the projection I was throwing onto other people and then reflecting back to myself as if I know how other people really see me, right? But that's how I'm constructing my self-image. And so I talked about that. Scary, yes. And it's also what's going on deep on the inside. Anyways, the point I want to make is I stopped honoring what the algorithm wants me to do, not only on YouTube, but also, let's say, on LinkedIn. Right now, I give myself permission to share what's really alive for me at the time, not what the attention economy, which is exactly how the algorithm works, wants me to do, to be faithful to one niche, one topic, and to the pillars of that topic so that the algorithm can learn what I'm about, so that it can choose the right audience for me, so that it can show my content to that audience. So what does this decision mean for me? Well, it means the algorithm will never know what I'm about because I open my mouth and I talk about what's alive for me in the moment. And this might be something related to my personal philosophy, what I'm going through internally, meaning, purpose. It could be related to post-labor living and what that means in the age of AI when intelligence is no longer the domain of humans only. It might mean I talk about health and longevity, which is something that I'm very interested in. It might mean I mention something about parenting and values and preferences and transferring these onto the next generation, as this is very alive for me right now. I have a 4-year-old son. And that means the algorithm will never learn what I'm about the way the algorithm works right now. And it will never show my content to other people. And so I know that. And for me, it's important that I document my journey for myself so that if I'm fortunate enough to live another 10, 20, 30, 40 years, I can go back and see how I thought at the time and what I was going through as a real, normal, messy human being. Also for my son, if he wants to go back in 10, 15, 20 years and see how his father was thinking at the time, he can do that as well. But I was reflecting more on this, and there's more. I think we're moving into a world where information is very cheap now. Being the expert in anything is easy for anybody. We have intelligence in our pockets. It's a matter of just typing a question, a prompt, and learning everything that there is to learn from an expert perspective about a certain topic. And from that angle, it's very easy to turn around and share that with others as well, as if that person is the expert. And so that's available to everybody, and everybody is doing it. And so I'll give you an example. At the time of this recording, yesterday, ChatGPT 5.6 was released, the latest ChatGPT LLM. And I watched 3 videos by 3 different creators, and all of them said the same thing, basically. And so what is the differentiating factor? Not really much. And so I think we're moving into a world, and that's going to take years as our society's transitioning itself and it's learning or trying to figure out how to reconfigure itself into something that has never existed before, into a post-labor possibly world, and a new way of not only thinking but a new way of existing. What would that mean? What would people value? I personally think that what will matter more for people is meaning, and what is the reason to be alive when labor and work no longer define who we are, and what are the questions that we're going to ask ourselves at that time, and what will be interesting for us. I am more and more thinking that what will value more is just observing somebody else's journey and relating to somebody on a very human level. Authenticity will be more and more at a premium, not manufactured authenticity, but real authenticity. Another example, I've talked about that before, but I'm in the group of somebody who I consider my mentor. That's Bernardo Kastrup. So every week I get to sit in a Q&A group with several dozen other people. And I have to tell you that before I got into this private group, I used to watch and consume everything I could find about him on YouTube. His interviews with other podcasters, creators, his books, several of the books I've already read. And the way I used to see that man is completely different than the way I see him now. Why? Because I get to be exposed to his humanity every week now, unfiltered, unscripted, because not that he's scripted online on his YouTube interviews, but he's sticking to a topic and he's very careful about what he talks about as a philosopher, because he's scrutinized as a philosopher. But in these private areas, I get to see more angles of him, and I no longer have him on some kind of a pedestal. Yes, he's a lot more intelligent than I am, and I know that there are areas that I cannot begin to even say that I'm on a similar level. And I'm not saying this in a self-derogatory way. This is very, very, very objective for me. But I also know that he's a messy human, just like all of us. I also get to talk to quite a few people every week, and I'm interested in talking to people where we can go deep almost immediately. I'm not interested in small talk. And so we go there. And when we go there, all I can see again and again is that all of us are messy, messy human beings. And that's exactly why we're here. But we don't talk about these things, especially online. And I used to not talk much about these things because I was trying to be relevant to the algorithms in a way. So that would put me, as much as I didn't like it, that would put me in a bit of a scripted area. And this was not okay with me. And so I had to make a decision for myself. Do I want to be relevant to the algorithms and to what the algorithms are catering to, which is still the attention economy? Or do I want to be true to myself, but be unknown to the algorithms? And so very few people or nobody finds my videos. And I made a decision that it's the latter what's relevant for me. I know that we're moving into a new world. That's inevitable. We are already well on the path. There's no turning back. Intelligence, synthetic intelligence is here. It's already bigger than human intelligence. And so that's changing the world. This is no longer our own domain. as humans, as biological humans. Now synthetic intelligence is already bigger than us on this day of, what is it, July 10th or 11th? I don't even know what day it is, 2026. So what is going to be valued in the near future if we make it through this period, if we figure it out, if we don't mess it up? I think that what will be more and more valuable and will be more and more at a premium will be what will be left in a post-labor world, and that is our own personal inquiry, our own personal philosophy, our art. And by the way, when I say art, what I mean by art is any form of expression, individual expression. Everything, if you thought about that, I haven't until recently, but now I know that everything is our own art. How we speak, how I speak to you right now, that's my own art. And you know what? It has changed already, right? And it's going to continue changing. Why? Because it's the form of art I am expressing, and it's called my own unique human journey. Somebody's facial hair, that's their own art. Why? Because it's how they express themselves in this particular moment in time, and it might change. So their art is changing. Their hairstyle for men and women, the way they dress, the way they walk, their gait, the way they communicate with others, that's their unique art, and it's changing all the time. The way they drive, the way they do life, that's all their art. I don't know if you've ever thought about these things, but everything you do to express yourself, the way you think, that's your own art. And that, when made visible to others, is our own art. And in the future, I believe that this will be more and more valued as our economy is changing from the attention economy to the pure human economy, to what it is to be human. So personal philosophy, personal inquiry, contemplation, personal art, connection, human to human connection, this will be a premium. This will be what we really value, and how we do connection, how we relate to others. Also learning. What will be left in a post-world economy is these things and learning. What else can I do? What else can I discover about life? What else can I ask about life, about who I am, my own values? Who am I? The values that I transfer to my offspring, how I do parenting, what I transfer to my children. All of this is going to be more relevant than it is today. So, am I rebelling towards the algorithm? Not in an intentional way. I guess what's more intentional to me is to be more true to what wants to express through me, instead of being enslaved by how the algorithms want me to be in whatever social medium. And the two relevant for me are YouTube right now and LinkedIn. I don't really care about the others. What's more relevant to me is that I'm true to what wants to stream through me. And so I just wanted to share these thoughts with you. And look, if all of this turns to be inaccurate and the attention economy continues to rule the algorithms 5, 10, 20 years from now, so be it. Then that means that almost nobody new will have discovered my message, and that's totally okay too. Maybe I'll remember to come back and watch this video in 10, 15, 20 years if I'm around. Maybe my son will, and that's totally fine. So if you stuck around until here, if you're another human being watching, and thanks for watching. If it's me watching 10, 15 years from now, hello Ivan. That's it.